good afternoon and a very, very warm welcome to the March edition of Friendly Hour. I'll bet right now you're all sitting there at home thinking, what on earth is she dressed like that for? Well, I'll tell you. We had a bit of a debate as to what the theme for this Friendly Hour was going to be, and we couldn't decide on spring or Easter, so we've combined the two. So here I am, dressed with my bunny ears for Easter bunny and my spring lamb costume for spring, because let's face it, I certainly could not dress up as a spring chicken because I'm more of an old rooster these days. We've called this show our Easter extravaganza, and it's an exceptionally great show with excellent talented people in it. And we've also got a treasure hunt for you too. So what you need to do for that is watch the show, because in some of the slots, not all of them, just some of them, so you need to pay attention, you'll find some hidden Easter items. Now they might be clearly visible in some they might be hidden and you need to look really hard. And at the end of the show, I'll tell you how many you should have found. So let's see if you can find them all. So let's crack on with the show, because we've scrambled together a lot of good talent and we've tried to keep it as fun and friendly as we can, because let's face it, we want to chase away those blues and stay sunny side up. Are you fed up with my yolks already? Yeah. So let's crack on with the show. And to start this week, we've got our sing-along, which is called Tulips from Amsterdam. So let's take an exceptionally big breath and sing along to Tulips from Amsterdam.
Well, I've done a bit, to be honest, but I'm thinking back to many years ago when spring cleaning was a serious undertaking. And if you remember washing, and some of us had wash houses and big bins, and you got your time slot where you could do your washing. You know, it seems like 1,000 years ago, and yet it's not that long ago, really. Or you could do your washing in the sink. You had your boiler, you had your tongs, all your whites were boiled. You had your scrubbing board, which you did the really grimy bits, like overalls for the men, the collars, the cuffs, Anything that needed a really good scrub went on the board. Then it was a rinse, and then it was the wringer, or maybe the mangle even. But it was jolly hard work. Then you hung it out, and then you prayed it wouldn't rain. Brought it back in, your flat iron on the gas stove heating up, and you should really have 2 irons, one to use and one to be heating up while you were ironing. And then you could really start. First of all, you took down all your curtains, you washed and ironed them and got them back up, and your nets, and they had to be spotless. So there's a wee bit of Reckitt's Dolly Blue went in with them, which brought them up sparkling. All your blankets off the beds, everything that could be washed, got washed, to get rid of all the winter's, grime. Very next thing you had to do was phone Mr. Baird the sweep, and in he'd come with his brushes and his dust sheets, and it was quite an occasion watching it all. But of course, no matter how careful he was, there was always a fine film of soot left, so that had to come off. Then the damp dusting, picture rails, tops of doors, skirting boards, everything damp dusted. And then maybe a coat of whitewash on your coal house. And all this, in addition to all the polishing, dusting, sweeping, cooking, ironing, sewing. And remember, you were polishing with mansion polish, hands and knees, none of your spray on, Mr. Sheen. You were scrubbing your doorstep. You were donkey stoning it so that it had a white at the sides, very important. As well as caring, for your whole family. Oh, and Duraglit for your brasses, also very, very important. Counting every penny, making do and mending, looking for bargains, nursing the household through minor illnesses. With them, as I remember, sulphur and brimstone tablets. I don't know what they were for, but they were horrible. Kaolin poultices for bad chests, mustard plasters, bread poultices for boils. It was never ending. You had to be an absolute master of everything. So having done that, it was maybe time for a wee splash of Californian poppy, or even 4-7-11 and a cup of tea before you started it all over again. And spring is a wonderful time, but it's much more wonderful when you have a lot of labour-saving devices and a can of Mr. Sheen than having to do all that work. Sometimes when you look back, you think that people looked a lot older than their age. Well, I'm not a bit surprised, because they actually were worked to death. And most of us didn't have any money. So meals were actually made up of bits and pieces often. And you tried to make it look interesting. Nowadays, I think, healthy food is freely available. A good water supply. We really do live a pampered life compared to what we did 50 or 60 years ago. And I'm glad I'm of the generation that has benefited from that. And now we have Peter. And he's going to sing for us. Wonder what he's got for us today. Let's go over to Peter and find out. Come on, Peter, give us a song.
Such a feeling's coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, but the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. Everything I want the world to be, it's not coming true, especially for me. And the reason is clear, it's because you are here. You're the nearest thing to heaven that I see. I'm on the top of the world again, down on creation, and the only explanation I I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. You put me at the top of the world. Something in the wind has left my name, and it's telling me that things are not the same. In the leaves on the trees and the touch of the breeze is a flashing sense of happiness for me. There is only one thing on my mind. When this day is through, I'm hoping that I'll find that tomorrow will be just the same for you and me. And all I need was mine if you are near. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. You put me at the top of the world. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. You put me at the top of the world.
Well, thank you very much for that, Peter. That was wonderful. And hello, and it's great to be back amongst you on Friendly Hour. I hope you're all well. Now, spring has sprung officially a week past on Saturday, and the clocks sprung forward last Saturday, so we've got an hour extra of daylight, and that's all good news. Spring has sprung, and the daffodils are out in full bloom along the roadsides, and I've got crocuses and snowdrops in my garden. So it is all looking good. And the good news as well about the lifting of lockdown. We can probably start seeing family and friends quite soon. We can start going shopping. We can start going to cafes for a cup of coffee or going to some restaurants for a meal. We'll get back into churches and we'll be able to go to shopping malls. It'll all be wonderful. Hopefully it lasts for a while. So when I was doing some spring cleaning there, I came across this little card, and it's entitled Pictured Rome, Irvine, Greens, Bank Street. And it's the December programme. I've no idea what year. I'm going to read you out some of the films that were taking place then. Babes on Broadway, Mickey Rooney. She Couldn't Say No, Tommy Trinder. This Gun for Hire, Veronica Lake. And Broadway Ahead, Ruby Keeler. Remember Ruby Keeler? I think she was married to Al Jolson. And Hearts in Springtime, Jackie Cooper. Remember the child actor Jackie Cooper? And do you know how much it was to get in? The admission prices were 9p, or if you wanted a better seat, a shilling, or if you were really pushing out the boat, 1 and 6. And the matinee times were 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Those were the days, remember? And you could get continuous programmes, full supporting programmes that just continued. You could get into the pictures at 12 o'clock, not come out to 5. It was wonderful days. Well, so my granny tells me. Now, I'm going to be reciting a little poem entitled Spring, and it's by Christina Rossetti. Frost locked all the winter, seeds and roots and stones of fruits, what shall make their sap ascend that they may put forth shoots? Tips of tender green leaf or blade or sheath, telling of the hidden life that breaks forth underneath. Life nursed in its grave by death. Blows the wind pleasantly, drips the soaking rain. By fits looks down the waking sun, young grass springs on the plain. Young leaves clothe early hedgerow trees, seeds and roots and stones of fruits. Curled-headed ferns sprout in the lane, birds sing and pair again. There's no time like spring when life's alive in everything, before new nestlings sing, before cleft swallows speed their journey back along the trackless track, God guides their wings. God guides their wing, he spreads their table that they nothing lack. Before the daisy grows a common flower, before the sun has power to scorch the world up in his noontide hour. There is no time like spring that passes by. There is no life like spring life born to die. Piercing the sod, clothing the uncouth clod, hatched in the nest, fledged on the windy bough, strong on the wind. There is no time like spring that passes by, now newly born, and now hastening to die. So now it's time for one of your favourites. Get your pen and pencil ready. It's music time, music quiz time. Are you at your piano, Anne?
Hello everybody, it's very nice to be back with you on Friendly Hour. Now, there's some good news all around, isn't there? There's lots of things that are much more positive and we're all feeling a bit more optimistic. The gardens are full of spring flowers, the clocks have changed so the nights are stretching, the weather's beginning to get a wee bit better, and the best news of all, the hairdressers are opening, and so we can all get something done with our very unruly mops of hair. So, the quiz this time is a wee bit obscure, and I'm sure you maybe thought, given that this was the Easter edition of Friendly Hour, it might be something to do with Easter. Well, it's absolutely nothing to do with Easter because it's very difficult to find things to do with Easter that are not really just hymns. So, it's all about structures. Now I'll give you a wee example, that's maybe something like a tower, or like it's something you build, maybe like a house, or okay, there's a wee clue there. Now the first two are quite easy, so once you've heard them, I'm sure that you'll catch on. So I'm going to do the first two for you, and hopefully, as I say, you'll catch on. So it's about you're looking for a structure, something that you would put up, something that you would build. Okay, let's see how you go on. Here's the first one. All right, here's number two. Okay, so good luck with those. So you're looking for the structure in those two songs. Then I'll be back in a couple of seconds with your next two. Okay, here we go with number three. Okay, I'll let you write that one down. And here's number four. there's 2 possible answers in that one. So see if you can get the one that's a wee bit more obscure. All right? And I'll be back in a couple of seconds with your last 2. Okay, here we go with number 5. Okay, I'll let you write that one down. And here's the last one, number 6. Okay, so that's all 6. Hopefully you got them all and it wasn't too tricky for you. And I'll come back in a wee while and give you the answers. So bye from me, just for just now. Now, folks that go to your church will probably recognise these wee things. Every Easter and Broadfoot knits a basket of these and fills them with the wee Cadbury's chocolate cream eggs, and we give them out to the Sunday school children on Easter Sunday, and some adults, if they're lucky, get one as well. And so this year, unfortunately, we're not able to do that. However, Anne has still done a basket of chicks. You'll see them later on in the show. There's a picture of the whole basket full, and we're going to make sure that the Sunday school children from Muir and from Relief get their little knitted chick with the cream egg in it. And speaking of spring chickens, we've got a wee treat for you. Now, we know that you like to see the children on Friendly Hour, and so we've come across some children who happen to know a spring chicken song. And so the first group that are going to sing it for you are Rory and Molly and Grace. And then I won't tell you who's coming later on in the show, but there's another version of the spring chicken song to look forward to later on. So now we have Molly, Rory and Grace with the spring chicken song.
Mother hen sat on 3 little eggs, keeping them warm in the little egg nest. Then one day she heard a crack, and a little voice said as the egg was hatched, I'm a spring chicken, I'm yellow and small, my feathers are fluffy and they're keeping me warm. My legs are not long, so I'll never be tall, but I'm a real spring chicken and I'm having a ball. I'm a chicken, I'm a chicken and I'm having a ball. One mother hen sat on 2 little eggs, keeping them warm in the little egg nest. Then one day she heard a crack, and a little voice said as the egg was hatched, I'm a spring chicken, I'm yellow and small. My feathers are fluffy and they're keeping me warm. My legs are not long, so I'll never be tall. But I'm a real spring chicken and I'm having a ball. I'm a chicken, I'm a chicken and I'm having a ball. One mother hen sat on one little egg, keeping it warm in its little egg nest. Then one day she heard a crack, and a little voice said as the egg was hatched, I'm a spring chicken, I'm yellow and small. My feathers are fluffy and they're keeping me warm. My legs are not long, so I'll never be tall. I'm a real spring chicken and I'm having a ball. I'm a chicken, I'm a chicken and I'm having a ball. Well done.
Well, hello again. Here's the answers to the quiz now. I'm quite excited to know how you got on with this one, and I do apologise if you thought it was quite kind of difficult. Okay, so number 1, the answer was lamppost. The song was Leaning on a Lamppost, and that came from the musical Me and My Girl. Number 2, the answer was arches. The song was Underneath the Arches, and that was a song made famous by Flanagan and Allen, I think. Yeah, one of them wore a furry coat. Now, number 3, I think we're going back a bit for this. The answer you were looking for was, the structure was windmill, and the song was A Windmill in Old Amsterdam. Now, if my memory serves me right, I think Ronnie Hilton sang that, but if I'm wrong, feel free to let me know. Number 4, now this was the one where there was 2 possible answers. I'll give you the point if you got the easy answer, but I'll give you 2 points extra if you got the other wee thing that was hidden in there. If you knew the words, you would get it. So the song was My Grandfather's Clock. So if you said grandfather's clock, that's fine. But there's a mention of a shelf in there. My grandfather's clock was too tall for the shelf. So if you got shelf, well done. That was good remembering. So you can have an extra 2 points for that. Number 5 was a pop song way back, 60s maybe, by the Animals. And that was House of the Rising Sun. So the structure there was house. And last of all, I'm sure you would have got this, but I think everybody knows this song. The answer you were looking for was Bridge. And the song was Simon and Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Waters. So there you go. So you had lamppost, arches, windmill, grandfather clock, or if you were really clever, shelf, house and bridge. So all that remains for me to say is I'll see you next time with another quiz, and I'm very happily going to hand you over to Peter, who's got another good going song for you. So Peter, take it away.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, through these mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountain, growing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. All my memories gather around open my eyes. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road, I hear her voice in the morning, how she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get the feeling should have been home yesterday. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country roads.
So this week we've been shown the roadmap out of lockdown. The sun has been shining. It's been quite warm. The flowers are blooming. The grass is growing and the trees are budding. Sure and certain signs that spring is definitely here. And with that, we can hope that we're starting to get back to some kind of normality. And with that, our cause for thought this week reflects on hope and optimism. So sit back, relax, and read the phrase and reflect on what it means to you. This week's cause for thought.
Now, just a thought, if you're looking for something to do, what about a teddy? A special teddy? Because he's going to go to Malawi, and he is for some of the orphans that have been left, poor little things, because of AIDS, which has swept the country in the adult population, leaving many children without parents or grandparents even. It's a wonderful place there, and it's run by a lady called Esther Lupafaya. And she's just an absolute unsung hero, she really is. But these wee souls, as you know, in Malawi's very, very poor country, there's no money for luxuries like toys. So we thought we'd knit something like this. Now it's not difficult, let me show you. It's knitted virtually in one piece. Starting off with the feet, the trousers, the jumper, the head, and all the way down the other side is knitted in one piece. All we need to do is, to begin with, is sew up the corners of the head. Just sew them up that way. Put some stitches in across the way like that to make the ears, so there's no fiddly wee ears to be sewn on, because I hate that. I know a lot of people do. Then once these are sewn up to there, it's only a matter of picking up 14 stitches in the jumper colour and knitting on the arms and the paws. So there's an absolute minimum of faffing about with this one, because once it's all done, once it's ready, you're just going to sew the rest of it together and then leave a little space round about here and stuff the whole thing. A drawstring round the neck to make a neck, a little face sewn on, and a little scarf stitched on at the back. And that's really all it is. And it's a nice thing because it comes on very quickly, very quickly. The most stitches that's ever in it is 20. If you'd like a copy of that pattern, just phone me, get in touch with me somehow, and I'll copy it and I'll send it out to you. Because I think it's a very little thing, and we make it out of scraps of wool, but it's very precious to the people that it's going to. Once we've got quite a few together, they'll be collected and they will be taken out to Africa by the next person that's going. And now we've got a special treat for you. We've got Hope and Theo, and they're going to sing the Spring Chicken Song. Come on, Hope and Theo, let's see your bonny wee faces. Give us a treat.
One mother hen sat on 2 little eggs, keeping them warm in their little egg nest. Then one day she heard a crack, and the little voice said that the egg was hatched. I'm a spring chicken. I'm yellow and small. My feathers are fluffy and they're keeping me warm. My legs are not long, so I'll never be tall. But I'm a real spring chicken and I'm having a ball. Chicken, I'm a chicken and I'm having a ball. One mother hen sat on 1 little egg, keeping them warm in their little egg nest. Then one day she gave a sigh, and a little voice says, surprise, surprise! I'm a spring chicken. I'm yellow and small. My feathers are fluffy and they're keeping me warm. My legs are not long, so I'll never be tall. But I'm a real spring chicken and I'm having a ball. Chicken and I'm having a ball.
So, competition winner time. You remember we asked you all to make Easter bonnets and send in some arts and crafts related to Easter and what it means to you. Well, although the response wasn't overwhelming, the quality and standard of what we did receive was of a very, very high quality. So high, in fact, that we had to put it to a vote because no one person could pick one. They were all so good. So thank you very, very much to everybody that put an entry in for all your hard work and effort. But there can only be one winner, and the winner of the Easter bonnet competition goes to Aoife Matheson. So well done, Aoife, and you'll get your present very, very soon. And for the arts and crafts, the winner is Christine Allison for her beautiful floral display. So thank you very much, Christine, and you'll also get a prize too. And remember, you'll also get a wee mention on the Sunday service on Easter Sunday. So look out for your winning entries on there. But before I sign off, we can't leave it there. We've got one wee special boy, wee baby Thomas, our lockdown baby, born in December, and we've watched him grow up through the last couple of months into a beautiful bonny wee boy. And this will be Thomas's first Easter. And his mum has sent us in a wee picture of Thomas wearing his Easter bonnet. So from everybody here at Friendly Hour, very happy Easter to you all, and especially Thomas, and we hope you have a wonderful time eating and rolling your eggs on Easter Sunday. So well done and happy Easter to everybody. Well, unfortunately, that's us at the end of our Easter extravaganza. But I hope it was exactly what you needed to lift your spirits today. So I'd like to say thank you to Anne, Lynn, Shirley and Peter, and also to all the children who appeared in the show and were absolutely fantastic. Thank you. And also to David and Dylan for their technical abilities, without whom the show would not go on air. And thank you to you for watching the show too. Remember, you can catch all previous Friendly Hours on YouTube, and you can get our Sunday service at 11 o'clock every Sunday, either on Facebook or YouTube. So, before I close the show, I'd like to quote you two little phrases. So some days are better, some days are worse. Look for the blessing instead of the curse. Be positive, stay strong, and get enough rest. You can't do it all, but you can do your best. And always remember, you don't need a certain number of friends, just a number of friends that you can be certain of. So until the next time, take care. Goodbye. Bye-bye.